Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 22nd of August for the Sun or the Ascendant. As ever, I'm going to give you the broad strands to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now, as this week begins, Mercury, the ruler of the sign of Virgo, is forging a tremendous angle to Pluto. So there's a sense that the analysis that Mercury in Virgo provides at the best of times is heightened even more by this combination. Now the Sun on Tuesday also powers into Virgo. So a very Virgoan energy is starting to develop. Some may call this Virgo season. So what is the sign of Virgo about? It's the sixth zodiac sign. It's ruled by Mercury, of course. It is an earth sign, but also it's mutable in terms of its quality. So very much to do with flexing. But it's asking us to use our precision and discrimination to get some of the finer details of our situations working that much more efficiently. And that can be something that can give us a great deal of pleasure. It may not sound very sexy, but actually, if the main parts of our world are running in a well-ordered way, that frees up energy. And of course, the sign of Virgo is about health as well as virtue. So we have an opportunity over the next 5 weeks to really take these areas a lot more seriously, particularly as there is a Virgo new moon on Saturday, which is going to be particularly influential because it's squaring up to the mighty Mars in the sign of Gemini. Also, Mars is forging an exuberant link with Jupiter this week, which can give us a lot more desire to live in the moment. But the clash between Mars and the new moon suggests we shouldn't try too hard to be too perfect, to try to strip out too many parts of our existence which may be a little bit indulgent. It's about finding a nice balance. But also this week, Uranus slams on the brakes, the last of the higher octave planets to do so, and will be in retrograde through to the 22nd of January next year. But there's a T-square later this week between Saturn, Uranus and Venus. And in fact, Venus and Saturn are going to be exactly opposite one another. So any relationship where one partner tends to be quite sacrificing and hardworking, particularly on the domestic front, and the other person tends to be a bit more focused on their own needs, that could cause some frostiness, frosty relations as this week draws to a close. But also on Friday, Mercury moves into the sign of Libra. So whatever happens this week, however much we're trying to reform certain areas of our life, whether it's to do with decluttering, clearing out drawers, recycling stuff that we don't need anymore, perhaps getting a bit fitter, looking at what we're eating and seeing if we can make some improvements, perhaps considering some physical health treatments such as massage or aromatherapy. All that virtue is going to be tested by that T-square that involves Saturn. So when Mercury moves into Libra at the end of this week, important to listen, because I do think a bit more of a critical vibe is going to start to develop as this week draws to a close. Please stay with me for your in-depth forecast, but if you are wanting to ascend above zodiac astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life. This can help you to understand some of the difficult patterns that may have come up over the years, but also highlight the opportunities that maybe you can embrace a bit tighter. But also with this, you will get a forecast as well, and 30% off with my special offer. Now you can get the rest of this year free as well as the whole of year 2023 within this forecast, please see the link below. Now, if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be grateful if you did so now. If you have already, thank you so much. So Gemini, your week commencing the 22nd of August forecast sees a switch really. You have had your ruler in a more muted location, but that's joined by the Sun. But Mercury still forges an incredibly important link to Pluto for much of this week. If there is something you really want to think about in terms of where you live, how you live there, or who with, or about a deeply personal issue, maybe something you want to work through emotionally, then I think the Sun's passage into Virgo on Tuesday could see you wanting to draw back a little bit over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But there is a kind of paradox in your situation, because Mars in your sign is in an incredibly galvanizing angle with Jupiter, the planet of growth, and that's in your sector of friendships. So the people that you really can relate well to in all sorts of ways at different levels. So the people you can perhaps have fun with, but also have a strong intuition to tune into how you're feeling, those alliances can go from strength to strength. But because Venus, the planet of emotional relating, as opposed to more mental relating of Mercury, your ruler, that is checked by Saturn later this week. And of course, there is a T-square too with the North Node and Uranus slams on the brakes midweek in a very sensitive area, your 12th house. So I think your emotional world is about to develop, it's about to expand, it's about to take on a greater dimension in your situation. Your quick wits and sociability and fun side are always your strengths, but Uranus continues to push you to look deeper within any outstanding or long past issues that may still be active in your current situation that aren't making you particularly happy. And because Saturn is opposing Venus, when it comes to the way you're relating, it could be more pointed, a bit colder. And it's important not to become too defensive, because the sign of Virgo for you is not just about nurture, it is also about defense. But defense can soon become defensiveness if we're not careful. Now, of course, later this week with the new moon on Saturday, that actually forges a square with Mars in your sign. Mars through to the end of March next year, the 25th to be precise, is going to give you a lot of thrust in that period of time. But the thrust of the big picture that may excite you, Mars in that angle to Jupiter, needs to be balanced about how you're receiving information, how you feel other people feel about you, your own sense of security. And if you rush something with Mars and Jupiter and you're not quite ready for it in terms of your sensitivities, it may fall over a little bit. Now, Mercury is going to be moving into a fine location for you on Friday, and that is more bubbly and outgoing. If you need to explain how you're feeling at the moment, because it is a little bit complex, all these influences, then take the opportunity to do so. But don't be fearful of feeling things. Working through the mind is your great gift, but this week it's an opportunity to set your intentions, to be more available to your own needs, to listen in deeper to what they represent, and to let your gut feeling, your intuition guide your moves in a much more substantive way.